You've seen the pictures, right? Astronauts just floating peacefully with the whole world as their backdrop. But what's it actually like up there? Let's pull back the curtain on the heroic images for a second. In this explainer, we're getting into the nitty-gritty, the strange, and the really challenging truths of living in space. And it all starts with a feeling that you would never, ever expect.
I want you to imagine this. You wake up your first night in orbit, and you are totally convinced you're upside down. That's a real story from astronaut Garrett Reisman. See, without gravity, all the fluids in your body just kind of drift upwards. You get this crazy pressure in your head. It's your body's first, very rude introduction to a zero-G world. So that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? What actually happens to you when you live up there? To your body, your work, and even to our future as a species? Well, the answers are honestly a lot weirder than you might think.
Okay, first things first. The very first thing that changes in space is you. Your body immediately starts this wild adaptation process. It's almost like it's trying to transform into something, well, something not from Earth.
Think about your body right now. Gravity is pulling everything down. Your skeleton holds you up, your muscles are always working against it, and fluids pull in your legs. But in space, all bets are off. Your body basically decides it doesn't need that heavy-duty skeleton anymore. The muscles in your back and legs, the ones you use to stand up, they start to fade. And all that fluid we talked about, it rushes to your head, making you feel stuffed up and even dulling your sense of taste.
Now, this bone loss thing is a really, really big deal. Without gravity, your skeleton isn't supporting any weight. So your body, being super efficient, just stops rebuilding it. Astronauts were losing about 1% of their bone density every single month. But, and this is the cool part, they cracked it. It turns out you can trick your body. With really heavy, low-rep weightlifting, you can convince your skeleton to stick around. Now astronauts can come home with almost no bone loss at all. It's amazing.
And the weirdness doesn't stop there. It gets down to the simplest things. Like when you work out in space, your sweat doesn't drip. It just builds up on your skin like a layer of gel. And if you turn your head too fast, you can literally fling little blobs of sweat across the room. Yeah, your crewmates are not going to be fans of that. So here's the kicker. Even with all these clever workarounds, the effects are profound. It took Garrett Reisman a whole year, after he got back to Earth for his balance and his bone density to get back to normal. It's not like coming back from a trip. It's like recovering from a serious injury. All right, so living in space isn't just about your body going haywire. It's also about doing some of the most difficult and dangerous jobs you can imagine. And that brings us to the ultimate astronaut gig, the spacewalk. You know, for Reisman, just getting a shot at a spacewalk was a huge fight. He's 5'4", and the spacesuits were basically one size fits most. A taller astronaut literally laughed at him and told him to forget it, that he'd be useless. But he refused to quit. He worked with trainers, figured out new ways to do things, and ended up becoming one of their best spacewalkers. Okay, so put yourself in his boots. You're 7 hours into a spacewalk. You've got one job: connect this brand new, multi-billion-dollar antenna. There's a timer ticking before it gets too cold and becomes space junk. You line up the connectors, you go to push them together, and nothing. It doesn't fit. Brute force is the first instinct, right? He and his partner are pushing on this thing with everything they've got. They're pushing so hard that the crew inside can feel the entire space station shaking. They're starting to see metal shavings flake off. This is bad, really bad. The whole mission is about to fail. And this is that moment. This is where muscle fails and the human brain takes over. Reisman stopped pushing and started thinking. He remembered a basic physics principle. Stuff changes size when it gets hot or cold. And in space, the temperature difference between sunshine and shadow is a wild 600 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's when the light bulb went on. The solution was just brilliant. He used space itself as a tool. He took one part of the connector, the male end, and stuck it in the shade to keep it cool and contracted. Then he took the other part, the female end, and let it bake in the direct sun to expand it, just a tiny bit. Then he brought them together again and click, it slides right in. Perfect fit. That's pure human ingenuity right there. You can't program a robot for that kind of creative problem solving. It's a perfect example of why we send people out there, not just machines. Now, that whole story is a great snapshot of the shuttle era. But today, we are living through a massive, massive revolution in how we get to space. It's a whole new ballgame. To really get how big a deal this is, just look at this timeline. When the Space Shuttle retired in 2011, America had no way to launch its own astronauts. For almost a decade, we had to pay to hitch a ride on Russian rockets. Let that sink in. Then 2020 happened, and the commercial crew era kicked off, changing everything.
So what changed? It was the business model. The old way, cost plus, basically meant NASA told a company how to build a rocket and paid for all their costs plus a profit. So the more cost, the more profit they made. The new fixed price way is totally different. NASA just says, here's what we need you to do. Take astronauts to the station. You figure out the best and cheapest way to do it for this set price. And just like that, you unleash a tidal wave of innovation.
And the result? We have a whole new fleet of American spacecraft, built by private companies like SpaceX and Boeing, launching astronauts from American soil again. This is so much more than just getting our ride back. It's the beginning of a real, thriving marketplace in low Earth orbit.
All this new energy, this new accessibility, it's making us dream bigger again. Now that getting to orbit is becoming more normal, we're setting our sights on the next big destination. But a trip to Mars is a whole different beast. The biggest problem isn't the rocket, it's the radiation. As soon as you leave Earth's protective magnetic bubble, you're flying through a constant shower of nasty deep space radiation for 6 months. We can build shields and storm shelters on the ship, but we honestly still don't know what that long journey will really do to a human being. And that kind of brings us full circle. Through sheer grit and cleverness, we figured out how to stop our bones from dissolving, how to fix impossible problems in the vacuum of space, and how to build a brand new highway to orbit. We solved the puzzle of living just above our world. The real question now is, can we solve the puzzle of living on another one?